Just how rare is my property in Detroit, which is not only a landmark, but part of the historic Motor City Ultra Rare Collection? In this video, I'm going to compare that property with 18920 Wells Drive in Los Angeles, which is a completely random, unminted property. What's similar about them, and what sets these two properties apart?
I'm YK2012, founder of the Upland Guide. I'm here to unlock the secrets of the Upland Metaverse. On this channel, you can find everything you need to build your Upland empire. Expert tutorials, winning strategies, pro tips and tricks, and a lot more. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to stay ahead of the game. Remember, knowledge is power, and in the Upland Metaverse, that knowledge is truly your most valuable asset.
So the most important thing that is common not only between these two properties, but every single property in Upland and every single asset in Upland is that they are NFTs. NFTs are non-fungible tokens, which means that each item is completely unique. If I have $1 and you have $1 and we exchange those dollars, then nothing happens because $1 is equal to $1. Those are fungible tokens. Non-fungible tokens are things that are completely unique. That could be a painting or a vehicle. Every vehicle is completely different, and this we know because each one has their own serial number. When you look at 18910 Wells Drive as well as its neighboring property, you can see that they are both the exact same mint price, same size, they're neighboring properties on the same street, in the same neighborhood, in the same city. But these two properties are completely different because they are each NFTs. When you compare this to 461 Piquette Street in Detroit, which is the Ford Piquette Avenue plant where the Ford Model T was first manufactured and the assembly line was invented, again, this is also an NFT. So it's no different from what we just talked about on Wells Drive. So if both of these are exactly the same because they're NFTs, why did I buy this property in Detroit for 6.3 million UPX and this property in Los Angeles after 2 years has still not been minted for only 21,000 UPX? Some people would say that owning this Ford Piquette plant is something that's extremely unique. But just a moment ago, I said that every single property is completely unique. By definition, these are NFTs and NFTs are completely unique. So again, what makes this property special? To help me answer that, what you can see on the screen here is the Sandbox Metaverse. This is another metaverse, and each one of these squares, some of them are tiny, some of them are medium-sized, and some are much bigger. Each one of these are also NFTs. Now, when you start breaking this down into just random squares, some of them bigger and some of them smaller, then the question becomes, what really is the difference between this square here on the left and this square here on the right? I don't have a good answer for that. Now, if we go back to the Upland Metaverse, what really makes this unique is that Upland is built on top of the real world. So yes, each property is an NFT, but also each property is something that has meaning in the real world. Now, when we talk about what makes properties special, I think people can agree that this Ford factory property is special and unique. Maybe not to everyone, but I think the general population can agree on that. Is it worth 6.3 million UPX? I don't know, but let's put the idea of price aside for a moment. Now, what about 18,910 Wells Drive? Is that special? It might be. If you actually live there in the real world, then it might be special to you. Maybe your last name is Wells and you want to own properties on Wells Drive. That would make that property special for you as well. Different properties have different meanings to different people, and that's what's exciting about Upland. There's not one right way or wrong way to be playing Upland, and different types of properties are important for different types of people. This Ford Piquette plant you can see is part of this historic Motor City Ultra Rare Collection. So these different collections are something that Upland adds to different properties in order to provide them additional value. We can see that a lot of these collections have to deal with specific neighborhoods, streets, or even curated properties like this historic Motor City that are important in the real world in that city. And Upland has chosen to make these properties more special in the sense that they are now called collection properties. Now, there's nothing stopping Upland from creating a collection on Wells Drive. Why would they do that? I don't know, but they did create a collection called Air Streets, which is own 5 properties on a street that include the word air in their name. And this was part of the Spark airdrop platform launch, where Upland decided to just create a collection out of properties that have air in their street names. So all of a sudden, properties that had air in their name became more valuable. But on the other hand, That's only in the case that people actually decide that that's something that they want. Even though these properties on Air Street can provide me with additional boosted earnings if I place them in collections, if I don't actually want that, or maybe there are just other properties that I'm looking to purchase, it doesn't matter how much earnings it's generating or how much the initial mint price was. If people don't want it and they don't see the value in it, they're not going to buy it. If we look at a city like Los Angeles, where there are over 650,000 properties, and still, as of May 2024, there are 20% of the properties that still have yet to be minted. Now, if you look at this neighborhood of Tarzana, there are 8,000 properties and still 3,300 have yet to be minted. That's almost 40%. But on the other hand, there are lots of neighborhoods that are completely minted and not just collection neighborhoods. So then you have to start asking yourself, why is that? Why are there certain neighborhoods that are fully minted and others not? Why are there certain cities that are fully minted and other cities that are not? Again, it goes back to what kind of meaning does it have, not just maybe in the real world, but also to the upland community. In the real world, you have places like downtown, which is typically extremely popular. Places next to big landmarks or maybe stadiums are also quite popular. But on the other hand, when you look from the upland perspective, there are always people looking to create nodes and build their own communities, one of the first being Portage Park in Chicago. There were a group of people that noticed that nobody was minting anything in Portage Park, and they said, hey, let's start creating a community. Let's mint out Portage Park. Let's hold some great events and create a reason for people to want to be a part of that community and mint properties there. And that's how they were able to completely mint out Portage Park. They successfully created a community, they won a number of community events, and they were able to provide value to people who owned properties in Portage Park. So when we look back at this Tarzana neighborhood and Wells Drive, I currently don't see any reason why I would want to mint a property there. What is the benefit for me owning a property in that neighborhood? Is there any sort of community? Is there anything interesting that's going on there? So even though at its base every property is this NFT, there is that added social layer of importance that is added to not only specific properties, but streets, neighborhoods, and even cities. Now, when we start looking at the price of these properties, it's also important to look beyond the amount of earnings that you get from the property. That's just a function of the mint price. I think it's important to look beyond that and look, what does this property actually mean? Is this property interesting to somebody? Does it have meaning in the real world? Within Upland, are there people that are developing in that area? Are they starting to build a community? Are there some key players that own properties in that area? Are there meta ventures and economic activity in that region? There's a lot more to think of just beyond the price. Now, going back to my original question of how rare this Ford Piquette plant is compared to this Wells Drive property in Los Angeles, it's really in the eye of the beholder. Each of these are NFTs, which means on their base level, they're exactly the same. They're just like two of these squares in the sandbox metaverse. But here within Upland, it all has to deal with what type of meaning different players attach to these different properties, neighborhoods, cities, or any level that you want to look at it in the Upland metaverse.